as a part of International Day of Scientific Culture. So this is an audio video based program. All the participants are requested to kindly mute their audio video during the entire program. If they are having any questions may be put in the chat box only. So questions may be answered if possible depending upon the availability of time. So this program is also live in Facebook page of Visvesvaraya Museum. So it's my privilege to welcome all the participants for this program. I welcome Srimati K. Sadhana, Director, Visvesvaraya Industrial and Technological Museum. A hearty welcome to you, ma'am. And I also welcome my colleagues in VITM as well as in the other units of NCSM. A hearty welcome to one and all. Now I'd request Srimati K. Sadhana, Director, VITM, to kindly give introductory remarks. Madam, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Biswa. Good evening and a warm welcome to all. When we think of culture, we generally mean Indian culture, Western culture, and so on. But the term culture also applies to practices, behaviors, and expectations of smaller groups of people. Though embedded in the larger culture surrounding them, such subcultures have their own sets of unwritten rules of interacting with one another, and scientists are no exception. In science, these rules of good behavior are fairly general but are essential to maintain the quality of scientific evidence and basis. In the 16th and 17th centuries, natural philosophers and natural historians set about establishing societies, combining rational exploration and empirical study to form a new scientific method and developing the ideals, beliefs, and principles of the scientific community. Consequently, scientific culture came on to the historical stage. Scientific culture is formed with the emergence of science and technology and develops in tandem. It is not science per se, but a unique perspective, a system of values and mode of thinking through which we understand and develop science. It's obviously different from other types of culture. Without a world-class scientific culture, it's impossible for a country to become a world leader in science and technology. This has been demonstrated by the rise of modern science and since the Renaissance and the development of science and technology across the world. Today, the 28th September is celebrated as the International Day of Scientific Culture to highlight the importance of scientific culture in today's society, focusing on activities and institutions that provide ways for people to appreciate science as an important part of their lives. The day of September 28th was chosen to mark the anniversary of the launch of the series Cosmos, one of the most influential science outreach programs. The first International Day of Scientific Culture was observed on September 28, 2020 in 9 countries. Today is the second International Day of Scientific Culture, and it is being observed in various countries across the world. Visvesvaraya Industrial and Technological Museum, Bangalore, is one of the institutions in India that provide ways for people to appreciate science as an important part of their lives. As part of the International Day of Scientific Culture, the museum is organizing the program Demonstration of Science in Everyday Life. Experience and enjoy the science in everyday life. Also, I would like to mention that the museum is open for the public. Please feel free to come and visit the museum and enjoy science. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for your valuable remarks. Now may I request Sri B.R. Vishwanath, Education Officer, VITM, to initiate the demonstrations. Vishwanath sir, please. Now the stage is yours.
Thank you, Biswal. A very good afternoon to good evening to all. So, as a part of, as I already explained by our director, the significance of this event. Now, today we are having a series of demonstration which connects to the events that occur in our day-to-day life. In our day-to-day life, we come across various events, and many of us do not bother to understand the science behind it. So, in order to make people aware about the science behind many events that occur in our day-to-day life, this program is aimed. I am going to start this program with a few chemistry experiments, and my other colleagues will follow with some other experiments. Now, how these experiments show how the science is there behind everyday events. In our day life, we find every day, that means when we get up in the morning after a sleep, and when we go to bed for sleeping in the night, so many things happen. But between these two things, these two ends, there is a very interesting phenomena, or very common thing which happens is occurrence of day and night. So how does the day begins? How does it ends? How the night starts? I am going to show you in a different way. When it starts sunrise in the early morning, as around 6 a.m., 5:50 or 6:15, depending upon the place where we stand and observe, we have the sunrise at different timings. At the same time, sunset also occurs at different time. Now, how to see sunrise, sunset? Suppose if we are in a dark room, if we want to show for a common layman how sunrise occurs, how sunset occurs in a different way other than naturally. That means how do we how do we connect the occurrence of sunrise and sunset in a experimental way? For that, now I have here a setup of a plain observation board screen and a flask filled with a plain solution and a stand to keep the flask. Now, what is the significance here? This flask contains a small quantity of a solution, which I am going to tell you later, and I am going to pass light through this solution and let me see what will happen. So you can see you can observe formation of an image over this screen, and this flask acts as a double convex lens. This contains a transparent solution, so that is why light is easily passing and an image is forming, bright image. In the early morning when it is sunrise, it is very bright, plus it is a bit yellowish. So this flask, I am going to add another solution. Observe what will happen. You have to make an observation as well on both the sides, on the flask as well as on the screen. Observe what are the changes it is going to take place. So this experiment may take around 2 to 3 minutes, and you have to keep watching. Slowly, you can observe that the flask, the content of the flask solution starts becoming oily, more oily, and it is also starts becoming very little milky also. And start observing that the edges of the image here on the screen starts becoming reddish. Now the contents of the flask has become more milky, and here it is becoming, the image is becoming reddish brown, more reddish brown, very dark, and it is becoming almost nearing red. And now you can see on the screen image very clearly, it has become almost red and it is becoming dark red, and then it will start very fading, the image starts fading, and ultimately very hardly you can notice any redness, and after that it starts becoming now nil. That means completely vanished. This is how sunrise and sunset has happened. Now during the sunrise, you are able to see dark, that is very bright, and after that it starts becoming yellow, and when it reaches more yellow, and finally red and dark red, and finally it vanished. But the solution in the flask has become more milky, and now no more light is being passed through it. Why does it happen? Because now the flask contains a solution, and after I poured another solution from the beaker, there is a chemical reaction. That chemical reaction that chemical reaction leads to formation of another compound which is not transparent, and it makes the solution milky, and the light get distracted, and passing of light is totally blocked, and that is how there is no image at all on the screen. And as and when solution becomes more and more opaque, then the light passing gets distracted, and then the solution will not pass any more light, and then it stops. This is what happened. Now what happened here? How do we connect science of our day-to-day life? There is a chemical reaction in the flask which brought the distraction of light. So day and night. So day and night occurred, and in this flask, sodium thiosulfate solution we have taken. When I have added from beaker a small quantity of hydrochloric acid, it forms sodium chloride, sulfur dioxide, precipitate sulfur, sodium chloride. The precipitate sulfur, that is sulfur particle free, which is liberated, forms, and it is freely there in the solution. It forms a colloidal sulfur which stops all the light passing through the flask to be stopped, and then it will block the light, and no more light passes. This is how we got the sunset. So sun is here, it was able to set because the totally light was blocked. This is how sunrise, sunset we will be able to show in a chemical reaction phenomena. Now let us move to another one. Let us move to another experiment. So I am going to show this something what is going to happen in forest or a very thick vegetative area or some parks like that. All of you have seen what you call, I'm going to tell you its name. You have to guess what it is. Okay. We call it as chameleon. What is that chameleon? What is that chameleon? What is that chameleon? Chameleon actually is a reptile, and it has a unique property of changing its body color according to the environment to safeguard itself from possible endangers. This is what we have all know. But what is the speciality? How do we show experimentally? How do we connect experiments, or how do we connect science of the daily life? Now I have a liquid here. I have a liquid in my hand, which I am going to put it near to the screen so that you can see it more clearly. The solution in this container, actually this is a long test tube. Solution in this test tube has the color of violet. Now I am going to add to this another solution which is transparent. What is this transparent solution? It is sodium hydroxide. How about this? This is potassium permanganate. So when I add some quantity of sodium hydroxide to the potassium permanganate, just observe what has happened. Is there any change in color? Absolutely no. Then I'm going to add to this test tube small quantity of another powder. Okay, just observe after adding small quantity of powder, what is going to happen? Just observe. Okay, the solution starts from violet to another color, green. Can you observe here? And it has become dark green. Okay. It has become dark green. Now dark green tube, you can observe at the bottom, it starts becoming brown. It will become brown, and later it's also started, the greenish started vanishing, and it has started becoming more and more brown. I think all of you can observe this, more and more brown. So it has ultimately become completely brown. Now what has happened here? The potassium permanganate solution starts reducing in the presence of sodium hydroxide when we added a powder that is dextrose, D-glucose. D-glucose is an aldehyde, very good reducing agent. It reduces potassium permanganate to potassium manganate. Further, potassium manganate also reduces to manganese dioxide, and this manganese dioxide, which is almost brownish in color, in the solution form. So this is how, as and when needed, the chameleon changes its body color to protect itself from the possible endangers. Okay. So let us move to another interesting experiment. About changes of colors. That means when we are going from one place to another place, obviously we come across a place known as traffic junction. So in the traffic junction, to regulate the smooth flow of vehicles in a systematic way, traffic signals are installed. Sometimes the traffic signals get suddenly off due to failure of power connection. Then in that case situation, how do we manage? Of course, policemen will be there, they will manage. So I am going to tell you how can we bring back the color lights that is in the traffic signals in a chemical reaction, in a chemical phenomenon. So what are the three colors we observe in traffic signals? One is yellow, red and green. Okay, now I have yellow color here. Yellow color. So this yellow color, how do we change it into another color? All of you are seeing doing puja, while doing puja, they use bell to create sound, and they shake the bell in such a way that it makes continuously a particular type of sound. So I will also shake like this. After shaking, the solution has become wine red. This is what is there in the traffic signal also. And after shaking for a long time, I will be able to bring this red color to green color. Now what happens here? There are different indicators which are used in chemistry lab and various purposes, and particularly this indicator what I've used changes its color at the two stages. One is complete partial oxidation, another complete oxidation. The chemical present in the flask absorbs, the chemical absorbs oxygen, and the oxygen which is absorbed by the chemical, that is indicator, then it goes into oxidized state. When complete oxygen available in the air above this solution is absorbed by the indicator, when it is completely oxidized state, you'll get green color. When small quantity of oxygen absorbed by the indicator, that is partially oxidized state, it gives another color, that is red. So by just shaking the solution or just mixing, when we make the indicator to absorb less oxygen or more oxygen, the color change occurs. This is a simulation to that of the traffic signals. Now you can see once again the green color changes to red color. If I keep it for a long time, it changes into another color, that is golden brown, what was it started with. Now the solution in this flask is nothing but alkaline solution of dextrose, that is D-glucose, and the indicator I added was with indigo carmine. So this is a typical indicator which undergoes oxidation in a slow fashion or in a slow way. It sometimes absorbs less, sometimes absorbs more. So depending on absorption, partial or complete, so different color occurs, either red or green. So I hope that all of you got some idea as to how chemistry is also there, which connects or which simulates what is there in our day-to-day life. Thank you, and my colleague Mr. Gopal Krishna will continue with some more explanation.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for your colorful demonstrations. Now I invite Sri R. Gopal Krishna, Education Officer, VITM, to continue the session.
Good evening for all of you for this today's program, Science in Daily Life. And I'm going to show you some of the experiment. Looks like very simple, but that principle we are using in our daily life. To start with, I think all the students are very familiar with this one. Can you see what it is? This is a question mark. Okay, this question mark, with this I want to do one small trick. Okay, so this question mark to be balanced on your fingertips. Okay, so on behalf of you, I will just call my friend Mr. Chandru. Can you balance this on your fingertips? Okay, you should not use one on the fingertip. You have to use it. Right? Possible? Not way. This end you have to, not this end. Okay? You want to just put it like this. Okay? You have to this end of the question mark we have to balance on your fingertip. Is it possible? No, it's not possible. No. Okay. He's telling it's not possible because wherever you hold, it try to fall down. Okay. So you can use whatever the material you are having with you. No. Okay. Pen. You want to try with pen? Can you balance like this? No. No. all visitors are waiting, how it can be. So anybody can think of how we can balance this on your fingertips. Okay, what I will do, I will just take this leather belt. Okay? Leather belt. I will use this leather belt. Let me see. Sometimes back I tried this. Can you see? I'm just balancing. Yeah, I will turn like this. On my fingertips, if you are able to see this question mark, is it not? It is on my fingertips. All of you understand? I'm just on fingertips. This sand is sitting there. Okay. Earlier, my friend tried, different ways he tried, but it's not possible to change. Yeah, this way. You can see. Yeah. Yeah, you can see. Okay. So next question is, how is possible? So without the help of this belt, you are not able to balance this. So all of you know there is a scientific word called center of gravity. Okay, even if I standing, straight like this, very comfortably means the center of gravity is the center that the whole mass of that means this object, it has got a molecules. The total weight of this molecule try to be concentrated in a single point. If you put that point in the tip finger, we are able to balance it. As a shape of this body, you can see this is a shape. The center of gravity is not inside it, right? It is little away. To try to bring the center of gravity to this point, I had to apply some weight here. I used this belt so that the center of gravity is outside, that is transferred onto my fingertips. Okay, so this is the center of gravity. Daily life we are able to use it because you can stand very comfortably. If you try to lift your hand, there is an imbalance. That means you are shifting the center of gravity lead to out. Okay, so this is one experiment of the center of gravity. Next, I have a balloon here. All of you know, if I say inflate the balloon, simply you can take and it's very easy. Otherwise, you have to use a pump to inflate this balloon. Okay. Now, I call my friend. So I have here balloon. Can you inflate it without using your mouth? Possible. Pump. Pump not possible. Pump, I don't have pump here. Any other way? You can put in the water tap. Water tap, water you can fill it, not air. Okay. Okay. I have one set up here. So you can see here, I have a 2-hole rubber top where I inserted 2 glass tubes. One glass tube, I tied one balloon. Okay, this is a balloon. You can blow it. Okay, using mouth easily I can inflate this balloon. Okay, understand? This one glass pipe, other end is connected to this balloon, and this tube is free. Now I will insert this inside this flask containing some water. Some water you can see. Okay. Now carefully observe, this balloon is in inflated stage. Now can you just inflate it? I will just give the option. Are able to? Can you inflate this? You should not. You want to blow? No, you cannot blow this. You cannot use your mouth. Okay. Still you want to inflate this is possible. Simple way of doing it. Okay. I don't have any other instrument here. Not possible? Yeah. We shake it? No. It's not possible. Okay, it is deflected stage. So you're telling it's not possible. Okay. What I will do, it is a deflated stage. I will tilt it upside down. Let me see. Carefully observe this balloon. It is inflated. Can you see? It's inflated. Yeah. You can see the water is coming out of one pipe. Same time, you are able to see the balloon is getting inflated. You are able to see now? Yeah. It is inflated. So what is happening here? It is very simple. air pressure principles behind it. All of you know that. So when I tilt upside down due to gravity, some water will come out of the one tube. Water will come out of the one tube, and there will be that much space will be empty there. That means a partial vacuum created inside there. Okay. So what will happen? Due to that, air try to occupy that place. So it is entering the other end of this tube where I connected other end to this balloon. So the whatever the space empty there, that much volume of air is entering into the balloon. It looked like infrared. Okay. So this is the things, whenever the air enters, so sometimes it creates a vacuum, and you can see some. Suppose you have a tin can with some liquid. You want to remove the liquid. If you put only single hole, it's very difficult. What liquid will not come out easily. To make it easy to flow, we have to make away from that one more hole that air enters one side and pushes. I mean, when you tilt it, some liquid come out, air will occupy and pushing that liquid so that the liquid can be taken out easily. Okay, we are using this also in our daily life. Yeah. Now I have here with me. You can hold this. I have a balloon. It is an inflated balloon. You're able to see this is an inflated balloon. Okay. And all of you know this. I have one more here. This is a sharp nail. This sharp nail, and this is balloon. In fact, they are an enemy. Okay. So this nail, sharp items, and this balloon always enemy. If they fight each other, all of you know who is the loser. Always, balloon will be loser. Balloon will burst out. Okay. Now we have one competition now. Instead of one nail, I have taken here 100 of nails here. 100 of nails, same sharp nails here. I kept here. We call this as a nail bed. Okay. Nail bed. You'll see if you use a single nail, and when a pressure falls on that balloon, you've seen it is busted out. Now I will take this balloon. Okay. Can just hold it. Yeah. So I will put this on this 100 nail. What will happen? Whether this balloon will burst? What is that? It will burst. Immediately it will burst because a single nail you have seen it bursting. Okay. I will just try to keep it here. Give this. I will put some pressure or the force on this end. Okay. Can you see? All of you able to see? Yeah. You can see I am putting a pressure on this. There are 100 nails on the other side. So this balloon is intact. Balloon is not busted out. Can you see?
Sure.
Yeah. Can you see this? I am just pushing it. Yeah. Balloon is intact. Okay. Now with single nail, balloon lost. The 1,000 nails. You see this balloon is fighting back. See not? Balloon is intact. So this is a simple pressure that here. If you use the single nail, the whole force is on this sharp end. It will be all force is acting, or the pressure is acting on this sharp end. So when you put a pressure on it, immediately it will, because the smaller area will be there, and this is a sharp nail, so it will burst out. Okay. If I use 1,000 nails, this pressure what is exerted, that will be distributed over all these nails. Okay, and the area of contact also increases so that it will be intact. Okay, that's why you have seen this. Suppose you want to, this in the daily life you are using this. Suppose you want to hammer this sharp nail on the wooden plank. Okay, easily you can hammer it. Okay, suppose if you take this blunt one, it's very difficult because the surface area, pressure which is falling on this should be smaller, then easily it can go. Otherwise, if the area is more, it will distribute all over. Okay, this is one principle we are using in our daily life. Now, we will go to the simple thing that all of you have seen in your house. This is one pipe. You can see these are hollow pipe. PVC pipe. Okay, can you see this is a hole? Okay, this is pipe, and I have here with me a brush. This is a bottle, used for cleaning the bottles. This is a brush. Okay, so now my challenge is here. I'm going to put this brush here down. Of course, this brush, it is just touching. It's a lighter, of course, it's touching the inner surface of the pipe here. Inner surface of the pipe, it is touching here. It is here. Yeah. I think I will just adjust myself. All of you can able to see this. Yeah. All of you able to see what I'm doing? I'm just taking a pipe here, PVC pipe, and this is the bottle brush. Bottle brush, I just keep it here. Okay. My jaw. Yeah. Yeah. I will hold it at the middle of the pipe. Now I have to take this upwards. It has to be taken upwards. Can you try it? Yeah, it has to take it up. But one condition is there. You should not touch this brush. You should not touch this brush. You should not put any force on this brush. Still, you can take this pipe to up there. Drop. No, you cannot drop because you're just still holding it. Anyway. No, not coming. Not possible. Okay. I will just keep all of you able to see these brushes here. I'm going to hit this brush slightly with this wooden plank. This is a wooden plank. Can you see this coming out of there? I'm just hitting, this brush is coming out there. Okay. It was there just I try to hit this pipe. This automatically start climbing up and it's coming out of this. So what's exactly happening here? This is the inertia friction. Of course, when you keep it here, it has got some friction. It's in the wall of this. Okay. And here's the inertia. All of you know there's a Newton's first law. Any body keeps to be in the rest or in continuous motion unless there's a external force applied on this. Okay. So now this is a truss. It is a truss here. When I hit here, this will try to move. It is give a jerk there. Then due to the jerk, it will just climb little up. It will not fall down because due to friction it is holding that. So when I hit this, it's coming out. Okay, so now you can see it is coming out. And this we have experienced daily in your life. Suppose you are sitting in any vehicle. Suppose there is a sudden brake the driver applies, you will move forward. There's a jerk. The same thing happening here. Even a carpenter, suppose you want to fix some wooden plank to a hole there, the same diameter. So then you will just try to hit the hammer here so that it will be inserted inside. Okay. So before ending, I will just I will show one more interesting experience that we have seen. I have here a matchbox. All of you are experienced this. Still, I will just show this and I will conclude my demonstration. Then my colleague will continue this. Suppose if I have, can you just hold your hand like this? Okay. If I take this matchbox, I have a flame here. I will try to keep this flame here. You can see the flame is coming up. Can you feeling hotness? Yes. You're feeling hotness? Loudly. Yes. Hotness is there. Okay. He's feeling hotness to this distance. This distance he is feeling the hotness. Now I will take the same matchstick, but when children you are doing very careful, this burnt one should not fall on your skin. And I will just try to take this flame again, same flame. Bring it very near to his skin. You are feeling any hotness?
No, not like that.
Nothing. Okay. So that means when you take this flame, this distance, you feel hotness. When you bring it very near to the skin, you are not feeling any hotness. Okay. So this is very simple daily life. Yeah, this is the convection current. Okay, heat transfer in one of the way the convection current. When I light this candle, all candles also you have seen all the flame is moving upwards. Okay, so that is due to this, the air molecule above that will be heated up, it becomes lighter, it moves on the cold air, that is rushing there and it is pushing up. So that this will always, the flame will stand here. That means when I keep this flame little away here, the air molecule will be heated here, that is coming up there, that is feeling hotness. When you bring this matchstick near to this, since it is heating up the top, not the bottom, okay, so we are not feeling any hotness here. This I think you have seen your daily life, your room, you check up your room, so windows will be down and the ventilation will be up. Because cold air enters here, the heat air replaces that. Okay? So this is the convection current. So similarly, you can see different things that happens in our daily life. You are observing and are feeling. So all are basic principle of science. Now my colleague. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful demonstrations. Now, finally, I would request Sri R. Varadan, Education Officer, VITM, to conclude the session along with his demonstrations.
Good evening to one and all, and let me start this session. I want to share my slides because it will be very convenient for me to explain. And so all these demonstrations based on the daily life application. So whenever we see any problem, the first one we can just play. Screen. Yeah. Auto drainage system. So if you look at that picture and you can find out there's a drainage septic tank or in aquaphonic or hydroponic. So whenever if you want to actually drain out the water automatically without doing anything, and this physics will help you to overcome that problem. Here for that what we need is actually just you see the picture, auto drainage system. In a septic tank, on particular level, all sediments will go and settle at the bottom, and excess fluid, if it reaches that particular level, then automatically all the excess fluid will go out to the place where that can be recycled or reused. Same way in hydroponic also, all excess water periodically that will get drained out. And here for this is a simple demonstration. And for this demonstration, what are all the things are required? Next slide, please. Here we have used one tank, and in this tank having 3 parts. One is the reservoir, another one is well, another one is the riser tube. So here even you can also make it by using the water bottle. And at the center there is a one pipe, and here we have just instead of using the bulb, one small 200 ml water bottle we used, and you have to just here what I can do that up to this level. I'm just covering this bell over that riser tube. I'm going to fill the water. You just see here, I'm adding the water. When it reaches that particular level, I'm not doing anything, just I am simply adding the water. And just you see here, the system, when it reaches that particular level, you just see here, when it reaches that particular level, automatically all the water inside the tank, if I set the level, so then up to that level, can you see there, it is automatically it is coming out. This is called auto siphon. So here, how it works? Next slide, please. And here, what is actually happened when I had the water? There is an atmospheric pressure. So what is atmospheric pressure? 1 square centimeter, approximately 10 Newton is actually acting. Approximately 1 kilogram of weight is actually acting on that particular place. Here, this much area if I take, so atmospheric pressure is pressing, and then how it works, that system, you see there atmospheric pressure is actually acting everywhere. Next slide, please. When I add more water, you just see there that the water level actually rises up. Inside the bell, you just see, next slide, please. Next, what is happening? That particular level after reaching, then it will touch, because of the gravity, that water should fall down. Next slide, please. So then this water is actually going down. But now you just imagine atmospheric pressure is acting. Now inside that riser tube, pressure is less, vacuum created. So then vacuum created means what will happen? All the water automatically it will get drained out. So then wherever if you want to use any such a places, we can use this system. That's what you are studying in your syllabus, auto siphon system. Next slide, please. Yes, then all the water will go out. Next slide. So here, this is the animation. You just see here how it works. I think this idea is very clear. And where this auto siphon, where we are using, also I just explained. I think everyone, you clear in this experiment. Then let me go to the next experiment. So next experiment, next slide please. Mixing of colors. Yes, already my friend showed. So here, what I am going to do that, I am going to take 2 cylinders, and one I am going to add cold water. I am going to add some food color. Okay, hot water. Plus. So one is the cold water with some food color. Another one is the hot water. So when you put the hot water, everyone in the chemistry, so then the reaction will be very faster. I'm just adding the hot water. So I'm going to add a little color in that. Cold water I'm adding blue color. See there. Another one I am adding red color. So now I am going to add some more hot water and cold water. This also I am going to fill. Cold water with blue color, hot water with red color. What I am going to do is I am going to cover this one with this paper. I am putting upside down. Just to see here, I'm just, because of the atmospheric pressure, it is holding. Now I am keeping on this top, gently to the center, visible to everyone. You just see here, I'm going to remove this paper. So when I remove this paper, for now here this is a red color and blue color. If red and blue color dye when you mix, then what color you will get? Purple color you will get. You just see here how fast it is happening. I'm just simply removing. I'm just gently bring. One, two, three, yes. Now you just see here. Can you see any change in this? Here, top also I have taken the color. Bottom also I have taken, but medium I used only the watercolor. But nothing is actually happened here. Why nothing has happened? Then there is some other, apart from the chemistry, there is some other physics. What is that physics is there actually? If I change the direction, then let us see. If I change the direction, then let me just find out what will happen. Just I am changing the direction. Now you see here, mix thoroughly. So here what has happened? That convection takes place. In earlier cases, so what I did, it's like this. For now light, when I mix the two colors, and finally I got it light purple color because of the more quantity of water. You can see the very light color. Next slide, please. So this is nothing but convection. So that convection will take place when I kept the hot water on the top. As a hot water has the less density than cold water, then it is floating, and then nothing happened. So when I changed, hot water is actually having more density, then what happened? Naturally that convection takes place. That is why, next slide please. Here if you see this picture, convection, that is why what we are doing, AC we are fixing near the ceiling. Not only cold air will have more density, then naturally what will happen? That will come down, then there will be a convection. That is one way of transferring the heat. Another way, when you go to during winter season, if you go to the northeast, in the room they usually provide room heater. Room heater they will provide on the floor. Why? Because that hot air naturally it will loses its density, then it will rises up. There will be a convection. And another one factor also they have given, conduction. Floor, if it heats, if I am sitting there, what will happen? Heat will conduct to me. My body will receive the heat. That is called the conduction. So this is the way you have to learn the physics. Next slide, please. Music. So this is also interesting factor. Here, this is everyone you can participate in this demonstration because I am speaking. Everyone you can hear my voice. What I am doing, next slide please. Actually, here I am having the vocal cord. That animation of the vocal cord is available in the next slide. You just see here. I am speaking. So my vocal cord, what it is actually doing, it is simply pumping the air. I know that when according to the frequency, I'm just pumping the air. So air as a medium, it will travel to the other person because that air naturally is having very good property. There will be a contraction and rarefication. Contraction and rarefication because it is like a spring. It is loosely packed molecules, so it can very easily travel. Sound can travel very easily. And here, that vibrations. If you want to feel vibration, so I am having the model, but but even you can also feel the vibration. How the way? Just your vocal cord, you can just open and you put your hand on the chest, and everyone you just give a sound. Ah. So my chest is vibrating.
Sharing instruction.
Ah. Very low vibration. I'm just increasing the air column. Bass sound. Then if I want to increase, this is just vibration. If it is high frequency, here you won't get any vibration. You put your hand on the chest, I'm not getting any vibration. But if you put your head during that time, your head is actually vibrating. That is the way singers, they will practice. They will mix chest vibration and then head vibration, then they will create the beautiful sounds. And here I'm just, even if I change the air column, I can change the vibration. So this vibration is everywhere. We are actually frequency, measuring in a frequency. What is the meaning of frequency actually? Frequency, number of vibrations per second. That is common word only. Even frequency of breakfast, 7 per week. Some people may have 10. Doesn't matter. Like that. So next I will go to the next one. Boy and elephant. Is it possible? Yeah, next slide. Here another problem. Friction. Everybody know that frictional force. How you can multiply the frictional force exponentially? Yes, that is possible. If you know that technique, even small boy, someone of the tie elephant, if tree is there, he can just simply control the elephant. Elephant cannot escape from that boy. Just this rope will help. Same way here, you just see here, I have taken 500 ml bottle, so approximately 500 gram and 5 Newton approximately. And 5 Newton, I'm going to actually balance using just this key, maybe say 5 gram. So 500 gram, 5 gram. How this is possible to do that? Is it possible to do that? Yes, that is possible. You just see here, what happened? Automatically it get balanced. How that get balanced? Here there is a 3 or 4 turns. So when you increase the number of turns, then this rope friction will increase exponentially. So that is why this friction is very, in day-to-day life, we are actually using very effectively. And another, I will conclude this demonstration by using this famous experiment, two balloon experiment. And this two balloon experiment, how they got this idea, sharing of the ventilators. So COVID-19, during that time, because of the shortage of ventilators, they have to share the two patients. So then they started thinking, and finally this experiment helped them. So that is why this experiment is the two balloon experiment. If you Google it, you will get a lot of ideas behind that. In this two balloon, this is a smaller balloon, this one is the bigger balloon. So immediately what we will think, if it is more air, then pressure will be more in a red color balloon, because size is bigger one. But a smaller one, naturally pressure will be less. But you just see what is happening. I'm just to open this one. You just see what is happening actually. I'm just opening. Yes. Sometimes experiment may fail let us see how it. No, not like that. The experiment never failed. Sometimes demonstrator said the condition will be different. So I have to keep the smaller one, and then this one is the very bigger one. Now you see here. Can you see that? Now success. So what happened? And how this idea clicked in their mind, and then because of the lungs, the elasticity of the lungs, that will take care. And here, why that thickness will be the more, my right hand side, this green color bulb, thickness is more, elasticity will be more, then pressure should be more that side. So this is the way demonstration is very most important to understand science in a better way, because you will have the experience. So that is why in science museums, we usually encourage this. Because children always, they usually be a curiosity driven people. Already they are having the curiosity. When they do such an experiment, then it will be very helpful to understand science in a better way. And thank you very much. And I will just request my colleague, let him continue the session and conclude it within 1 minute.
Thank you very much, sir, for your eye-catching experiments. I hope all the participants enjoyed all the 3 sessions with wonderful experiments. So now it is time for vote of thanks. It's my privilege to thank all the participants, those who have joined with us through online in this all the sessions. Our sincere thanks to Srimati K.S. Sadhana, Director VITM, for our guidance and introductory remarks. And my sincere thanks to Sri B.R. Vishwanath, Sri R. Gopal Krishna, and Sri R. Vardhan, Education Officers VITM, for demonstrating all these experiments in a wonderful way. And my sincere thanks to Team VITM and my colleagues from different units of NCSM, those who have joined with us today for today's session. And my request to all the participants to know about the upcoming events of our museum, please visit our museum website www.vismuseum.gov.in frequently for upcoming events. And as we have come to the end of this program, I thank one and all, and we are signing up now. Thank you, one and all.